Hi everyone. Today I want to answer one of the most common questions I get. I actually had somebody from the newsletter email me a few weeks ago asking, how do I win with a weak doubles partner? So in this scenario, we're talking about if there's three, four, five players on the court and one 4-0 player, for example. How does the 4-5 player who has the 4-0 player as their partner, how do they win? How do they change their game? So I'm going to talk about that today. This is whiteboard tennis. I do this a couple times a month, and the focus here is really on doubles strategy. So we're looking for ways to adjust our court positioning, our movement, where we hit the ball, things like that. We're not focused as much on how to hit a bigger serve or how to hit a better forehand because we really just don't have that much time to go out and practice. We're not professional doubles players, so the focus here is really to help you become a smarter doubles player. So, like I said, this week we're going to learn how to play with a weak doubles partner. So, the first thing I have here is when we think about poker, I like to use poker a lot as analogies in tennis because I'm always looking at odds. What are the odds that I win this game? What are the odds that I win this set, match, point, whatever? And in poker, if you have a weak hand or if you ever watch poker on TV and somebody has a lot less chips than the other people at the table, the only way they can come back and win is to take risks. So that's what we have to do in tennis if we have a weak partner. If we have a partner who is the weakest player on the court, we have to take risks. There's no way around it. So, for example, if I'm playing with a 4-0 player and I'm playing against two 4-5 players, and I'm a 4-5 myself, I'm going to have to take a risk. Before the match even starts, the odds are not in our favor because we're just not as good of a team. So we maybe have a 35-40% chance to win the match. So to tilt that into my favor, we're going to have to take a risk. And I'm going to talk about in a second what types of risks that we want to take. So really, we have two choices. So we step out on the court, we have a, say, 40% chance to win the match. And, given that, we have to do something to kind of level the playing field. And there's two options for us. We can bring our own level up, so we can try to play better, play really good tennis that, above the average that we play, or we can bring their level down, so bring our opponent's level down. Now, I think that the second option is the much better option, and I'm going to kind of go over that with you. I really don't like to try to kind of play outside of myself. I think it's generally a bad idea unless you're in practice in a match to play outside of yourself. So option two is the one that we want to stick with. So what types of risks do we need to be taking? So we need to be taking risks that really limit our downside. So I'm going to go over a few risks that we should be taking and a few that we shouldn't, and then I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. So things that we should be doing when we do have a weaker partner, we should be moving at the net more. So we want to be, poaching a little bit more than usual, taking a few more risks. Maybe we give up a little bit more of the line than usual, especially when we see that the opponent's uncomfortable. We want to be adjusting our serving formations. So give the opponents different looks. Figure out as quickly as you can, what are they less comfortable with. Because even though your partner's the weakest player on the court, they still probably have one or two strokes that are as strong or stronger than the weaker strokes of the opponents. So if we can find those weaker strokes of the opponents, then we can kind of take advantage of that. We have to close more into the net. So one of the things I like to do when I play with a weaker partner is, especially even if my partner's at the net, is I will return and volley or serve and volley and move forward. And I know that they're going to go at my partner. So every now and then I'll move over and cut the ball off and try to hit a winner. It's risky. Sometimes I miss it in the net. Sometimes I sail it long. But you have to take those risks in a match like this. So close more into the net. And then generally just be unpredictable with your movement, with your positioning. So again, changing serving formations, poaching at the net, faking at the net, things like that. Like I said, we want to bring the opponent's level down, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to be unpredictable and to force them to make decisions, uh, make them think about you while they're returning, things like that. So focus on those things. A few things that a lot of people do that I see uh, that's ineffective when you're playing with a weaker partner. A lot of people try to hit the ball harder. They try to serve bigger. They'll try to aim for the corners or try to add 5 miles an hour to their serve. They'll play outside themselves and they'll try to match the opponent. So if you're playing against a team that's better than you, or even if both players on the other side of the net are better than both of you, trying to match them is usually not a good way to win the match. And the reason for that is it's not sustainable. If you only have 1 or 2 games that you're playing, maybe it'll work. But over the course of a 2-3 set match, it's just not sustainable. So really continue to play within yourself and adjust these things. And the reason that these have a lot more limited downside than trying to serve bigger or hit a bigger forehand is because with each of these, you're just doing them for 1 point and then you're adjusting. So the downside is losing only 1 point. But if you're trying to serve bigger for a whole set, odds are maybe you make 30% of those serves, and maybe even one set you get lucky and make 60% of those and you win one set. But the odds that you're going to do that for 2 sets in a 2 out of 3 set match is just really low. So adjusting these things and then finding which ones work is going to be a lot better idea to beat a team when you have a weaker partner, if that makes sense. So really, we want to limit our downside and take some more of those risks at the net and with our positioning, like I talked about. And then the last thing, this is probably the most important part of it, is you really have to make your partner comfortable. They're probably not that dumb or egotistical. They know that they're the weakest player on the court, and a lot of times they'll try to do some of these things. And it's up to you to make sure that they don't. They really need to play within themselves and not try to match everyone else. Because if they try to raise their level like that, then you'll lose the match, because they're going to keep swinging harder on their forehand and they'll just miss. And it's just really not going to work out. So you have to encourage them to really play their game. So specifically what I mean by that is what we want to look for is their strengths. So if I'm playing with a 4-0 player against 2-4-5 players, yeah, my partner's weaker than both of them, but they probably have one shot that is as strong or maybe stronger than the opponent's. So my partner may have a 4-5 or 5-0 forehand, but their backhand's like a 3-5 and their serve's like a 3-5 or something like that, right? So how can I get them more of those forehands? Maybe we do Australian formation while my partner's serving so that they can get more of those forehands. Or maybe I try to return and volley and leave them back to hit forehands from the baseline. Something like that. Really, if you can get them to play to more of their strengths, then you're turning it into more of a level playing field, because you're hiding the weaker part of their game, if that makes sense. Another thing is you want to take responsibility. So what I mean by this is when your partner misses a shot, again, they know that they're the weakest player on the court. So when your partner misses a shot, you need to go up to him, tell him, hey, it's going to be fine. That was my bad. I should have ended the point on my volley that I had earlier, or I should have hit a better approach shot so that you didn't have that volley at your feet. Something like that. And really taking responsibility of the lost points, the lost games, things like that, just to let them know, you've got their back. This is something I actually cover in my upcoming course that's going to be launching next month, but it's really important, especially when you have a weak partner, to take responsibility, make sure that they're comfortable to kind of play within themselves. And then the last thing is you have to finish the point. So your partner is usually the one that should set you up, and it's your job to get to the net, to finish the point off, and to, like we said, take some of those risks as far as, poaching, giving up a little more of the line, and trying to force the opponent to miss a little bit. So don't expect your partner to be hitting all the winners or anything like that. That's up to you to, on some of your shots, some of your volleys and things like that, go for just a little more to try to finish the point off. And then the last thing I have here is just to have fun. This is very cliche, but there's really, you're starting the match without the odds in your favor. You have the weaker team, you have the weaker player on your side. So this is really a cool opportunity to kind of experiment and just try different things, try different serving formations, try to return and volley, try to poach more at the net, try to just give up the alley sometimes when the other team's returning. Because there's really not much downside. You're not expected to win the match. So just have fun and try to think about, stay aware on the court and think about, how did that work? Like, what could I have done differently on that point? Why don't I try this? I've never done this before. This is a good opportunity to do it. So it can really be a fun match when you do play with a weaker partner, because there is not a lot of downside, and you can really experiment with a lot of different strategies. So if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts or anything to add to this, comment below or email me, let me know. I would love to hear from you. Again, this is a very hot topic that a lot of people email me and send me messages about. So let me know if you have any questions, comment below if you have anything to add, and I will talk to you in a few weeks.